Hi hand readers. In this video I'm talking about the earth-shaped hand, which is the first of the 4 primary archetypal hand shapes. My name's Jennifer. If you don't know me, I am a Johannesburg-based chirology and palmistry practitioner, teacher and long-time author of 4 books about the topic. And I'm here to support you in your study of hand reading. I love to teach, it's my thing. And by the end of the video you'll certainly know whether or not you have an earth-shaped hand. As you can see in this image, earth-shaped hands have square palms with fingers that are short in relation to the length of the palm. Now, when we look at the archetype, which is the collective concept that we have in our psyches really about what an earthy person might be, we also in our 5-element system are able to break it down into 5 levels. So we have on the earth level of the earth person, we have things pertaining to their health, to their financial relationship to money, and to the relationship to their family. On the water level of the earth person's psyche, we have how do the earth people interface in their relationships, particularly, as well as emotionally. On the fire level, we talk about what jobs might be most suited to the earth archetype person. On the air level, we're thinking about how do they think, what is their sort of intellectual, perhaps way of being in the world. And on the top, at the chi level, the 5th element, or rather what I call chi, which is actually ether, but I like to play with the idea of chi linking to chirology, we have in that realm, how does the earth person pray? How do they devote? What for them represents their deepest spiritual orientation? So beginning with the earth level of the earth person's archetype, we're talking very much about their physical realm, their physical lives. So on a health level, you could say earth people are quite strong constitutionally. They are seldom ill. They basically are tending, if they are ill, possibly to digestive disorders, because earth doesn't move unless you move it. So everything gets buried with earth people. They don't enjoy excavation. So you don't want to be delving around too much emotionally with the earth type person. And therefore there might be some susceptibility to gut disorder. You'll find that earth people generally eat their meals in a routine way. They like to eat with their families. They're the meat and potato types. They are very loyal to family in particular. Their security is very much around the traditional, that which endures, the long-lasting, the committed, the supporting their family, the security that they offer for their families. That's what brings them the most happiness and the most security. So that describes now the earth level of the earth archetype. Moving now into the water level of the earth archetypal person, it's very much to do with their relationships and their emotional stability. So basically earth people are very grounded. They are the least likely to slip off the edge psychologically, in fact. They are very much happiest in long-lasting relationships, as I think I mentioned. So that which endures, again, everything traditional, and domestic harmony, of course, is very much fundamental to their well-being. So if an earth person is deceived, or if they are cheated on and so on, they are going to really suffer perhaps more than any other archetypal person. Earth resists upheaval, so the marriage will last if they can possibly make it last. There will be that deep-seated commitment. There is that integrity and loyalty that weaves its way through the earth archetype more dominantly than it does, say, for example, through water, air, and fire. And then their emotional lives, again, just to say that they are sort of quite stable and serene, or not serene necessarily, but they're unneurotic. They are unstressed relatively. They're the most calm of all of us. So it's quite alluring to have some earth qualities in your psyche. In discussing relationships and how earthy people interface in their relationships, we cannot leave out their sexuality. And earth people are, as I keep saying, it's sort of all to do with that which is reliable and dependable. So they're not likely to change partners in a hurry. And their sexual orientation is very sensual and very dependable. And also they are not really very compatible with, for example, air and fire people. If you think about earth and fire in nature, or earth and air in nature, earth and air creates dust, and earth will put out fire, meaning that air and fire people would feel very stifled in a relationship with an earth person. So there could be that boredom, that kind of unhappiness, really. Earthy people are probably more compatible with water people. Is this making sense so far? Please comment below. Let me know if I can help you in any way to understand this more deeply. Moving now onto the fire level of the earth archetype. Here we have everything to do with the work that they're best suited to. So fire people really, as I've said earlier, play quite an important role, an integral role in stabilizing society. They are very much to do with, say, for example, government workers or anyone who's working in a position where they stabilize, where they're in the background in a sense. These are not the movers and groovers and shakers of the world. These are the people who might lack imagination, actually, and they might even lack initiative, but they are utterly dependable, and they are patient and hardworking and stable in the way that they relate to their work. And their work is really important to them. There's a strong work ethic in the average earth person. Then you've got earth people who work with the soil, they work with plants, they work with mechanics, they work with their hands. These are all good jobs that are suited to the earth type person. Generally, though, they like long-standing positions. And civil service might be another thing. Anything to do with food or catering, serving, really supporting people in that way. If you think about the earth and nature again, it supports us. So anything, you map that concept over, that principle, supportiveness, dependability and so on, all these principles of the earth element, these are scientific principles, map those over onto the person and you'll really get an idea of what makes them tick. And of course, the point of all of this is so that when you're doing the reading, that you understand the person who's sitting in front of you. And really, when I talk about what makes them tick, the whole idea is to support the person. That's your role as a hand reader. And then maybe also they are very good at craft. That's the other thing that could happen for the earth person. I think pottery, building, perhaps wood, and so on. On the fourth air level of the earth type person's archetypal interface with their lives, we're talking about how they think. Basically their intellect. And for them, communication and the way they think is pretty much practical. As I've mentioned earlier, they're not really open to terribly much excavation. These are not the most deeply investigative, analytical types in the world. Often rather quiet, uncommunicative in a social situation, unless it's about very practical matters. So you could say intellectualizing things is not part of their natural interface, not part of their response in the world. Perhaps they are quite suspicious of the news, so there's not such a whole lot of inquiry or investigation, as I've said, and may even be on the less redeemed, a little bit inclined towards prejudice, suspicion, resistance to change in terms of their mental way of thinking in the world. Coming now to the fifth tier, that is the chi realm, the spiritual realm of the person's interface with life. How does the earth person pray? How do they devote? And generally it'll be everything traditional. They'll follow what their father and their father's father believed in. They are unlikely to be the sort of tree-hugging, crystal-loving, spiritual intuitives. They might have intuition, because we all do, and their intuition might be around when perhaps to plant or when to expect the calf to be born if they're working in a farming capacity and so on. There is a very fundamental intuition, like there is for all of us, in its own style, in an earthy style. But their way of praying, as I said, will be very traditional. They're not likely to be like very strongly seeking. They're able to accept what is. There's a kind of a calmness, there's a peace that is innate in earth people. They have that great blessing, and they will uphold the tradition of their lineage. That is their way. They also have a great understanding of life's more important values. So there's not really a whole lot of dismay or distress or unhappiness or discontent, the divine discontent that we suffer, most of us. The earth person, perhaps of the four element types, suffers that the least. I think I've covered everything there is to do with earth type people, well, in a very basic way, but certainly if you want to deepen into this, please study with me. I offer this amazing course, and we can drop much deeper into the earth archetype people. And that's it for today. Please like, subscribe, and share, and comment. Don't forget to comment. Let me know how you're going with your hand reading, and I'll see you next week. We'll be talking about the water archetype. Bye for now.